So we were asked to kind of put this together. There's a couple newbies in here. Most of you, this will just kind of be very familiar. There's 10 ways to skin a cat. But the model from start to finish is similar for everybody. So that's what we're going to go through. This model quickly, Joel and I are kind of going to hit the whole year, starting last week. Thanksgiving break is when we really start the process. And then Dave's going to demonstrate Infinite Campus. So the quicker we get to Infinite Campus, the better, because that's where you're going to see kind of the new stuff and how it's done. We'll get to see Joel's whiteboard too, which is old school. So you get to see old school and new school. And then Mary's going to show you guys the good reports. Principals, you're going to want these reports so that you can look over our shoulder and say, hey, why are you doing that? Okay, is that data driven? Not sure. All right, so at the beginning here, you'll see the process starts in really Thanksgiving for us. We start to meet with our department chairs, and we go over the famous laundry sheets. The laundry sheets are important because what are you going to teach next year? So you're already starting to think about rolling over the current classes, but they may come to you and say, hey, we want astronomy. Should it go on the laundry sheet? That's a good question. That's a staffing, that's barriers, it's a lot of things that go into that question right there. I made the mistake one year of not putting something on the laundry sheet and then in June saying, hey, let's open astronomy. What? How am I going to find those students? So it's very important that if you think you're going to offer a course, this is for the newbies, put it on there, okay? At least you'll have a group of students that chose it. And if 10 kids signed up for it, it's easy to cut. You're going to also at this time meet with your counselors, your GIS. Now what we learned, and we had some great discussions, the four of us, about this process. And what we learned is that having counselors and GIS involved in your process is site specific, okay? West Hills, open book. I want everybody in there, every employee that's in that office, I want them in my office when we have these conversations. In fact, most of the conversations. In my office, I might have many times just the department chairs in there. That's all I need at that point. You'll notice the whiteboard. That is old school, okay? Some old school teachers on there too. So this board is up. This is last year. At this point in the process, this is last year's board, okay? And you know the mistakes that were made because your guidance counselors are saying, hey, we just can't, you have no offerings 5th period for that course. But you made it, right? 3 weeks into the year, you made it. And you made a note that you need to revisit that section and maybe fix it for next year. So again, at this point, you're having those early whiteboard conversations. A singleton meeting at West Hills is important. Maybe not so much at Granite. So this is, for the newbies out there, talk to kind of whoever built that before. And the culture and climate on your campus matters. The singleton meeting would be CTE courses, IB for us, AP, any of those kind of courses that hang out there. All right, culinary is one of our courses. So you want to make sure that kids have the ability to access as many courses as possible so you can't have them stepping on each other. Programming. So now we hit programming. We're going to talk about my app for a minute. Dave's going to demonstrate this. Programming is interesting, but I think it's basically the same. Our counselors are going out to English classes with the laundry sheet, okay? And they're going to talk to the class. Now, I recommend you go out and listen to these speeches for the new guys there. In fact, for everybody. It was eye-opening. They spent 55 minutes, and they talked about a lot of things in there. What I learned in that is it can't be a conversation for one period. We have to get in here and do some, guidance needs access to these students more often than just this one moment. So we're working on that. But that's what it is today. They will go in, the students will receive a laundry sheet and their transcript. They'll fill out next year's courses, hitting the check marks, take it home that night, get a signature from a parent, okay? That's important. And then the new piece is they'll go onto my app, multiple year academic planner, and they'll go ahead and fill in whatever grade they're in. So this case, you'll see it's a junior or heading into junior year, that's blank. They have the laundry sheet with the codes on there so they can actually go ahead and select off of that. You'll see some of the issues that come up with my app and the reason why we still use the laundry sheet. Teacher Recs. That's one that we tried to put in last year for Infinite Campus. We definitely want to use it this year. Teacher Recs are as simple as this. Teacher has their roster, and they have a drop-down menu. So math, you're in Algebra 1C. You have your drop-down menu, geometry or honors geometry, for example. They pick it. That automatically jumps right into the math section of this My App. It's beautiful. Okay? We didn't turn it on last year, but hopefully we're turning it on this year, and that will be great, because if I ask you how do you get teacher recs for math from teachers to counselors, I bet there's 8 different ways it happens, and none of them are very efficient, I'm sure. So this will be cool. Once it gets into my app, that way they'll sit with the counselors. Okay? So the student now sits with the counselor. Counselor goes through my app. So the old counselor meeting was counselor sits with the laundry sheet and just makes sure that the laundry sheet is correct. That was the old meeting. Now it's a little bit more involved, and again, there's a time issue to see every kid at Granite Hills High School, but we can go through laundry sheet and then make sure my app is accurate. Okay? And you'll see why that's important. The next step from my app is Walkin Scheduler. So we push a button and this will jump. All of these requests jump right into the scheduler, okay, the Walkin Scheduler, which Dave will demonstrate later. Once again, he'll go through all those demonstrations. The kids are in U.S. history. How many kids chose AP? There are so many simple reports. Again, Mary will show some of them as well that give you that information. You jump right to the load study. This is Joel's version of the load study. Can you go one more? And this is kind of our version that I adopted from Mike. You can see simply art, 159 students. There's our ratio. There's our number of sections. Okay? We like this. Infinite Campus has a nice tool that's very similar to this, but first year out, all of us still like to use some of our old school things. And so we jump into this. This, for Mike and I, is connected to FTEs. And so what we'll have is an early FTE discussion about, who's our art teachers. Underneath here, we'll have who our art teachers are, how many sections they're going to teach, and we can kind of match it up to the amount of sections we need. So early FTE discussions begin at that point. We come back with department chairs. So I would meet with the art department chair, and I would show them the load study. This is how many sections you need. Okay? Again, I need 5 arts, 5 3D designs, I need this, I need that. And then they take those sections back to, this is how Granite works, and again, we're kind of similar in this fashion. They go back to their department and they put together a master schedule. Okay? Now, with the caveat, and again, they know that I'm going to come back to them at the end of the year or at the end of this process and say, you can't have 5 art ones first period. Okay? So Mike and I on our site had some graphics to help them, but we need to push out. We need to push out. So we need to have equal number of sections at first period and at 7th period. So they know that if it's going to work, they have to start in the right place. Okay? And for the most part, again, at Granite, we have department chairs that have been there forever. That's good and bad. The good part is they kind of know the drill. Okay? So they created a tentative schedule. It's pretty. So Mike has this great template that he passed on to me when I took the job. I passed it to the English department. They didn't like that template. So this is what came to me. That's okay. Stacy and I, my SST, we know what to do with this. We know how to take all these sections and throw them into the master schedule. But the first thing I do with this is look at where the sections are located. So you have to get that first conversation out of the way. You just can't have that here or here. We need to fix this. Okay? Your math teachers, my math teachers, it's money. They're so formulaic and they know the boxes and it's just right on there. So that's nice. And then your smaller departments are a piece of cake too. All right, so again, at this point, this might be more guidance conversations. So again, Mary, when we got to this point, says, yeah, I bring my department chairs back in, I bring my GIS. We all kind of review this again because I want it to be as transparent as possible on my site. For me, Stacy and I will probably just get right to work on that. So you have to decide how your staff operates and what's best for them. Okay? You'll notice that one more piece I wanted to put in this. Talk to your department chairs, if you have new ones, about this process. They need to be transparent with their teachers. It hurts you in the end if the department chair goes into a closet and creates a master schedule for their teachers and gives it to you. This is the teachers hopefully get a first shot at this too. They see what they're going to teach. So it heads off those problems that you might run into later. It needs to be transparent. I guess that's the best way to say it for them. Because down the road, and what Joel will explain later, is you're going to go back to the department chair inevitably and talk to them about changes. Okay? And if the teacher in July sees it for the first time ever, that's going to be a problem. Okay? So that's planning process, some early decision making. We're going to move it over to Joel for creation, kind of how we build it and actually do the master schedule, and then we'll move on from there.